Hello there, and welcome to our channel, where we aim to bring you engaging and informative content that will leave you feeling informed and inspired. Today we take a quick look at some key ways that governments may and sometimes manipulate their citizens. In today's complex yet gullible society, it is important to be aware of the various tactics that governments often use to control and influence their citizens. From propaganda and censorship to surveillance and manipulation of the media, there are many ways that governments can exert their power over their citizens to stealthily steer them towards particular decisions, points of view, or behaviors. Some governments, particularly in ostensibly democratic countries, will often cite national security, public health concerns or some other matter close to people's hearts as a screen to implement manipulative policies, and discourage public criticism, resistance or non-compliance. It's important to be aware of these techniques so that we can better understand how our own governments operate, and so that we can make informed decisions for ourselves, rather than be controlled by leaders who themselves are flawed and often can't make sound judgments in their own lives. While this video and content is not a criticism of any governments in particular, it is a credible discourse based on observation of government behaviors and news headlines from around the world in the last several decades. So anyway, let's explore some of the most common and effective methods of manipulation used by governments around the world. Media control. Governments may manipulate citizens by controlling the media and censoring certain information. For example, in China, the government heavily censors and controls the media, including the internet, to prevent citizens from accessing certain information or dissenting views. Propaganda. Closely linked to media control is propaganda. Some governments use propaganda, or the spreading of biased information, to promote particular points of view or ideologies. This can include using media or other forms of communication to present selective or misleading information, in order to influence public opinion. During World War II, for example, both the Allies and the Axis powers used propaganda to sway public opinion in their favor. There are many examples of this type of manipulation in the present day, if you look around. Censorship. Some governments censor information, or suppress freedom of expression in order to control what citizens can access and think about. This can include censoring news and media, blocking websites, or prohibiting certain forms of expression. While media control is specifically focused on censorship of the media, censorship is a tactic that is applied more broadly to other areas and forms of expression. Surveillance. Governments may also use surveillance to monitor the actions and communications of citizens. This can include using tracking devices, CCTV, intercepting phone and internet communications, or monitoring social media activity. In the United States, for example, the National Security Agency's PRISM surveillance program has been widely criticized for its wide-reaching surveillance of citizens' electronic communications. Control of information. Governments may control the flow of information in order to shape public perception and limit access to alternative viewpoints. This can include controlling what information is released to the public, manipulating the way information is presented, or restricting access to certain sources of information. Disinformation. Governments also manipulate citizens by spreading disinformation, or false or misleading information, in order to deceive or manipulate public opinion. During the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union engaged in disinformation campaigns to spread false information about each other. Some UK politicians in government at the time also used false information to manipulate the way people would vote in the Brexit referendum. Coercion. Some governments use threats or intimidation to manipulate citizens into behaving a certain way, or supporting a particular policy or ideology. This can include using tactics such as physical force, imprisonment, or economic sanctions to coerce compliance. Restrictions on freedom of speech. Another way that governments may manipulate citizens is by restricting their freedom of speech, either through censorship or by punishing those who speak out against the government. In some countries, criticizing the government or speaking out against certain policies can result in imprisonment, or other more extreme forms of punishment. This then becomes a super effective way to suppress and sway public opinion. Legal manipulation. Yet another way that some governments manipulate citizens is through the use of laws and regulations that serve to restrict certain freedoms or behaviors. For example, some countries have laws that restrict freedom of assembly or the ability to protest. That means many issues that are close to people's hearts never see the light of day. Economic manipulation. Governments also manipulate citizens through economic policies and incentives, such as tax breaks or subsidies. This can be used to influence people's behavior or support certain industries or businesses. By the way, there are several examples of corporations or individuals who lobby governments to make certain policies that benefit both parties, but exclude the majority of the population. Education. Governments may manipulate citizens by controlling the education system and the information that is taught to students. This form of manipulation is based on playing the long game, and is very effective in shaping people's beliefs and attitudes about certain issues, down the generations. A notable example of this is selective and revisionist history, and the deliberate omission of accurate historical accounts from literature, schools and the education system. This is particularly true of countries that were involved in and benefited economically from slavery and colonization, to cite one salient example. Social media. Governments may manipulate citizens by using social media platforms to spread propaganda, disinformation, or other types of manipulation. This has been seen in countries like Russia, where the government has been accused of using social media to interfere in foreign elections. Covert operations. Governments may also manipulate citizens through covert operations, such as espionage or sabotage. These operations are often kept top secret and are designed to achieve a specific goal without being detected. And since they are top secret, the less said about them here, the better. Anyway, so that's it for this one. Thank you for tuning into our channel and watching. We hope that you enjoyed the video and perhaps even learned something. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more informative content. See you in the next one.